What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Real Reds Talk. This is your afternoon news show, which very nearly didn't happen, by the way, because I have been a mess for the past 24 hours. I've had a bad stomach bug, and that has just completely written me off, which is probably why you saw I wasn't on the show last night, but no one cares about that, do they? I'm just letting you know. Voice slightly going, stomach killing, but we move. The car moves, the content wagon moves, and we absolutely continue. And you know what? There's actually quite a few things to talk about today because, as you can see on the screen already, the big story, which a lot of people are reacting to at the moment, is obviously Rapheal Varane officially leaving Manchester United at the end of the season when his contract runs out. I'm going to discuss that. We've got some news on Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes potentially heading to Saudi Arabia, which I think is very interesting and I definitely want to get into. And there's also some stuff around Thomas Frank, the Brentford manager. Would you take him at Manchester United? Look, again, I'll get into all the details of that, but if you can be so lovely, please do smash a like on the TikTok, smash a like on the YouTube, and hit that subscribe button, and feel sorry for me because I've been really poorly the past 24 hours, so yeah, I'll milk that for as much as I can. So, yeah, obviously the main story, and the reason why I'm wearing this jersey today is out of respect to Raphael Varane. He will leave Manchester United as a free agent at the end of the current season. Decision confirmed as revealed in January, which I think we all remember, and we did a show on that actually. Varane will be available on the market as his contract won't be extended, and he left a little message to United fans, which got some people a little bit teary, didn't it? I'll see you all at Old Trafford to say goodbye for the last time at home this season. It's going to be a very emotional day for me. And I think just when we reflect on Raphael Varane's career as a whole, well, not his career at Manchester United, let's just say, you know, if injuries didn't hamper him, he's a top centre-back, man. He's a high-level quality centre-back, got pace about him, aerial ability. He's not amazing on the ball, but he's decent enough. And he's in-box defending. I mean, some of the even though he's not played, you know, shitloads of games this season, his actual defensive nous in the box at times has really saved us. And I think back to like the game at Anfield, for example, where in fairness we did get everyone behind the ball. We came away with a 0-0 draw, but he was a big part of that. Him and Johnny Evans in particular were really good and showed their experience in moments. And even when you take it back to his partnership with Lisandro Martinez last season, for me, when they was both playing together, they was one of the best partnerships in the Premier League. But obviously, Leach has had his own injury issues this season. Raphael Varane, you know, he'll be out for 2 weeks. He'll play for 2 weeks. He'll be out for 2 weeks. He's actually been out for quite a while at the moment. I can't remember the last game that he played, to be honest. It feels like quite a long time ago now. And I think his was another kind of muscle injury. So obviously the training that we're doing at the moment is a lot of players are kind of fall into it in that sense. And his body can't keep up with it. And I think that's one of the reasons why he retired from France, wasn't it? Because he obviously it's too much of a workload. Every time he came back from international duty, he'd be injured. I remember him picking up that injury. Was it just before the World Cup last season? He got a big injury, didn't he? And he was like kind of crying on the pitch. I can't even remember if he went to that World Cup or not. Someone will know in the chat anyway. Yeah, I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure he got a big injury just before he went, and he was really upset about it. He had like his shirt over his face, and I was absolutely gutted for him. But look, when you talk about Raphael Varane and you look at his resume, there ain't many better resumes out there. 5-time Champions League, World Cup, league titles, you know, separate cups. The guy is a phenom when it comes to, you know, he'll look back at as like a legend. In the position that he was in, and rightfully so. Arguably one of France's greatest centre-backs, would you say? I know France have had some fucking top centre-backs, but you'd have to put him up there, surely, wouldn't you? Winning the World Cup, captain. Yeah, top player, man. Top player. And I think if you're trying to look for a silver lining in this and the way you look at it, I think obviously his wages... getting them off the bill, which some people won't give a shit about because it's not their money that's being paid or whatever. But you look at it, the wages that he's on, I think he's on around £340,000 a week, which is a lot of fucking money. It's on more than the majority of the Premier League, and a guy who, you know, who can only play about 50% of his games in the season. So in that sense, financially, I think Ineos will probably they won't say it publicly, but they'll be relatively happy, you know, shifting his wages on, and that'll link into the the story with Casemiro as well, which I want to discuss, potentially heading to Saudi Arabia. But yeah, you look at our wages at the moment. I mean, we need to remove some of these off the books. Casemiro's on 350 grand a week. Varane's on 340 grand a week. Rashford 300k. Mount 250k. Fernandes 240. Anthony 200. Sancho 200. Maguire 190. Shaw 150. And Eriksen 150. So in reality, when you're moving into this this summer transfer window, if you get rid of Eriksen, that's £150,000 a week off the bill. You get rid of Sancho, that's 200k. You get rid of Raphael Varane, that's 340k, and Casemiro, that's 350k. That's like £1 million in wages per week. You talk about sort of being able to maneuver in the transfer market. They're the kind of things that you're going to have to do. You're going to have to move these kind of guys on, and I think that's exactly what will happen. Now, let's go to the section of the news show, social media saying. Frank, so Ten Hag era, which a lot of people will know on Twitter, undoubtedly the best centre-back partnership we've seen at United since Rio and Vidic. The main reason we were successful last season. Please, for old time's sake, run it back for the FA Cup final and let Varane have the send-off he deserves. That'd be amazing, wouldn't it, if we could do that? For a few players, if Casemiro leaves, because Casemiro was fantastic the first season. He was amazing. He's completely fell off a cliff now, but the first season he was amazing. And I suppose that's kind of the reasons why you shouldn't sign players near like the age of 30. And I think Ineos will be going away from that, and Dan Ashworth and Omar and co. But yeah, I would probably say, would you say that? I think under like your Van Gaal, Mourinho's, it was like your Smallings and Jones won it, and Smallings and Bailly and Lindelof, and yeah, Alessandro and Varane were definitely the best partnership since Rio and Vidic, 100%. At 28, Raphael Varane pushed for a move away from Real Madrid despite still being a very important player for them, because he wanted to fulfill his dream playing for Manchester United. So happy to have seen him wear our shirt. Thanks, Rafa. Once a red, always a red. Cracking player in his day. Shame we didn't get him for some of his better years. Had his moments for us, but considering his wages and injury record, it's the right call. Hopefully Casemiro follows him and we put an end to buying Madrid Crocs. Slightly different take there from alternative MUFC. And then you got Suhail Chowdhury who's saying Manchester United should have signed Varane earlier. Still the best centre-back signing since Vidic left in Manchester United in 2014. Again, which I think there's a lot of smart people online, which you can't always say. I think that's absolutely bang on. United can only wait until contracts expire as player not accepting transfers. Successful last season, he drunk. What are you talking about? He won a trophy, didn't he? Third trophy, that's not bad. Obviously, in comparison to what he did at Real Madrid, it's not, but for United, it was a relatively successful season given what had happened the season before. So yeah, look, Raphael Varane will be missed. Fantastic centre-back. Everything he's won in the game, there's just nothing but respect for the guy. I really, really wish him and Lisandro Martinez could have stayed fit. Because you're looking at that, you got the right experience, you got the right blend. They both kind of complement each other really, really well. And now it's like you're looking at the situation with centre backs, and a couple of lads were mentioning this in the WhatsApp chat before. If we're going to get rid of Varane, which is official, yeah, Lissandro's got his injury worries at the moment. I think Maguire could potentially go. Lindelof could potentially go. Johnny Evans is going to go. So you really need a lot of work in that centre-back area. You're going to have to sign 2 at least. And centre-backs aren't cheap nowadays. They'll probably go for something like a Jean-Claire Todibo, I would imagine, for like €40 million. But that isn't guaranteed to work out. He'll need to adapt to the Premier League. And then if you're going to go for Jared Brandflakes, then he's going to cost you about 60, 70 million quid. So that's like over 100 million quid spent already. And our budget is supposed to be £100 million. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, Collins saying Maguire not going anywhere. I don't think that's a certainty. I mean, based on what I've just said, I would probably keep him just because we can't afford to let, everybody go. But I don't think it's a certainty that he's definitely going to stay. And we really need a huge revamp in that centre-back area. I think it's interesting to see who Ineos and Omar and Dan Ashworth are going to target in that sense. Bruno said he might leave in the summer. Well, let's talk about that then, because that was next on the agenda. We've had some links with Bruno and Casemiro to Saudi Arabia, and this is coming from the Telegraph. As well as Casemiro, there's also huge interest from Bruno Fernandes from the Saudi Pro League clubs, although the deal is considered far less likely in terms of the ones for Bruno Fernandes. And as I've already mentioned with Casemiro, it would be amazing if you can get him off the books. The guy's had one of the biggest obvious declines you've ever seen. And people can argue, you know, it's a system that they put him in. If you put him in a more structured one that's more kind of protective of him, maybe perform better, and maybe that is the case. But regardless, whatever team you put him in now, he ain't at the Premier League level, legs-wise. I mean, just look at the goal we conceded against Arsenal in the last game. The fact that he's just so slow. It's like, a lot of people, it's almost disrespectful. I don't want to say it about Casemiro, because, again, he's another one, like Rapheal Varane. Like, what he's won in the game is amazing. But it's almost like he's a soccer aid player now. I think Jamie Redknapp said that. Or, like, a Sunday League pub player. That's what he looks like. Or, like, a dad who's playing five-a-side with the kids. That's probably the best analogy I can give about Casemiro at the moment. Like, he's seriously leg it. And I called this fucking ages ago. Not like there's some sort of personal, you know, perseverance. But I remember seeing it in a game. I can't remember what specific one. And I was like, Jesus, he looked way off it. He looked absolutely way off it. And he's caused us a lot of problems. You think about the last 4 games, right? And go through them with a fine-tooth comb. The one against Arsenal, Casemiro makes a mistake. He made 2 mistakes against Crystal Palace, which cost us like the first 2 goals, I think it was. You look at the Sheffield game. You had Onana making mistakes from the back. You look at the game before that. What was the game where he did that wild header going backwards, and Onana ended up punching the guy in the face. You look at the Chelsea game as well, where he's like, Nicholas Jackson just walked past him basically, and he just struggles to keep up with him. So I would be extremely surprised if Casemiro stayed for next season. It's not guaranteed. He might want to stay in the Premier League. He might just want to sit on that wage. But if we can move him on to Saudi, yeah, just fucking do it, man. Take the loss. We paid 60 million quid for him. If you can, I don't know, get 25, 30 million quid back, then you take his wages off the bill. Maybe it'd be all right, because the wages that Saudi would offer would be pretty significant, I'd imagine. If they're offering Jordan Henderson around £700,000 a week, again, I'm not sure if they signed him on a free, and that was the reason why, but whichever way you look at it, if they're paying that kind of money to Henderson and all the other guys in the Saudi league, then yeah. But it is crazy, like Jack says there, as if we paid 60 million. It is mad, isn't it, really, when you think about it. I think at the time, there was a lot of people questioning it, and then obviously the first season that he had, he was probably our best player. Him, Lissandro, but then Lissandro was injured one day for like the second half of the season. Casemiro was fantastic that first season, incredible, really, really good. And this season has been the complete opposite. So it's the right time for Varane to go. It's also the right time for Casemiro to go as well, as we kind of move forward into this Ineos era. Bruno Fernandes is an interesting one. For me personally, I wouldn't sell him just yet. I mean, you talk about priorities and talk about certain people leaving and stuff. Bruno Fernandes is the last of your worries. And I accept that some people get a little bit frustrated with him. I think he's been good of late. Obviously, he's been injured for the past couple of games, which is unlike him. But yeah, he's captain at the moment. I just wouldn't sell him, not a chance. And I think United would probably take the same stance as well, like not a chance. He's too good to move to Saudi just yet. He's too good. I would give it a couple of years. I do think, however, the way he plays and the fact he's not had many injuries throughout his career and he's played a lot of minutes. Like I think last season he'd played the most minutes out of anyone in Europe. I think that was, and that will take its toll on you. I know he's a warrior. I know he fights through it. But I think maybe next year, remember me saying this, right? I think next year, potentially the year after, his body will start breaking down. It really, really will. You can't go that long playing at the intensity he does without having some long-term effect on your body. I think he will start breaking down. Then at that point, then you start maybe considering, a move to Saudi Arabia. Yeah, that's when I'd consider it. My throat is absolutely fucking killing. Please do leave a like on the video for us if you can. Also, we did a video last night on the Rasmus HOJLUND so-called problem, which isn't a problem, but Samuel Luckhurst made it a big fucking issue. And Sam and Chivy were both live last night discussing it in depth and detail. It's a really good show. So if you've got nothing to watch after this, or you've got a bit of spare time on your hands, then do check that out. Jack saying we should be going all out for Wirtz. I think City are going to sign Wirtz. Yeah. I do. I think City are gonna. I think that's a shoe-in. I think the Bayer Leverkusen president came out and said we're gonna have to sell one of the big stars financially to keep up, and I think that's gonna be Wirtz. I think De Bruyne is kind of edging off now. I don't see De Bruyne as the kind of guy to move to Saudi just yet, but he's still a top player. But injuries, likewise with him, are slowly catching up, and I think maybe they'll be looking at someone like a Wirtz. But they've got Foden there as well. They've got Bernardo Silva. Will Bernardo Silva stay? Of course, they're in action tonight, aren't they? I'm interested to see how that Spurs game goes, because they have been a bit of a bogey team from recently. So I am interested to see what happens with that. Will City bottle it? Let's see what happens. Bruno is our most important player. Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. Do you think Bruno will leave? Nah, I don't think so. No. I think, the majority of players, when they start getting to 30, 31, and why wouldn't you look at Saudi as an option, or, even look at back in the day when he was going to like China and the MLS, just like somewhere nice to live. I don't know if China's nice to live, but I'm guessing like these footballers, the wages that they're on, they'll have a nice house in Saudi. They've got a 5-year contract on fucking a gazillion pound a week. And they're set then, aren't they, for the rest of their life in that sense? Or do you want to kind of stay in Europe, go to a lesser club on a lot less wages? So I kind of understand it in that sense. I kind of understand it. Right, before I get into Thomas Frank, there's a couple of quotes coming out from the press conference, I believe. Interesting. Ten Hag confirms that Sandro Martinez will be back in the United squad tomorrow. Oh, praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. So he's available. He says he'll wait and see whether Rashford and Fernandes are available. Varane won't play, but could be back versus Brighton on Sunday. Just a quick stat here on Raphael Varane. Raphael Varane has started only 58 Premier League games out of a possible 112 since he arrived and came off the bench 9 times. He's only started just over half the games he could have done in the Premier League. It's a shame how injury-prone he's been. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd agree. A lot of people reacting to Varane as well. But yeah, that's fantastic news about Lissandro. Leach are back in the team, and my God, do we need him. Take Casemiro out of that fucking back line. I beg you, take him out of that back line. I don't know how ready Lissandro's going to be. Again, it's one of those ones that you want to be careful with, because you don't want to rush. You don't want to be rushing him back, do you? And then he's out for another fucking, I don't know, couple of months, and he misses the FA Cup final, and then you have to wait until pre-season to see him. So I'm praying to God that his injuries, it's just like a couple of because I don't know what the recent one he's got at the moment. Is it a muscle injury, I think? Because he came back, didn't he, from the injury that he had. Was it Soufal, the West Ham right back, who fell on him? And he kind of twisted his knee or something, whatever it was. And then he came back, and then he had a muscle injury again. And you're like, fucking hell. So I hope he can stay fit, because if he can't, we're just fucked. We're absolutely fucked. It gives us a little bit more of a chance in the FA Cup final. So, yeah. On Rasmus Højlund, he says, when we decided to go for him, we buy a player for this season and the future. He has to develop, he has to progress, he needs time. Sometimes it goes up and down. Before winter, he struggled to get his first Premier League goal, but he's a very strong character. I am more confident he's close. He got asked if it was a mistake signing Højlund as his main striker. He said, last season we had a goal scorer with 30. We had one extra striker to the squad, and on financial resources, more was not possible. We were quite confident when you were third and reached 2 finals when you had a striker. The transfer policy is right. I get that perspective. After 1 goal in 10 games, he says, when we decided to go for him, we bought a player for this season and the future. Oh, sorry, I've already read that out. So yeah, a couple of comments on Højlund, which is interesting. What we're saying in the comments. Make sure you drop us a follow, by the way, if you can. Subscribe to Real Red Stock. We're currently on 5,008 subs, so if you could help, we're on the road to 10,000. If there's anyone in the TikTok who likes football content, if you're watching right now, the link is in the description for TikTok to head over to our YouTube. We're live every single day, twice a day, 12 o'clock and 7 o'clock. Pre-match build-ups, post-match analysis, pros and cons, some stuff outside the stadium. Yeah, loads of stuff. And it's growing every single day. So yeah, a bit of a rough night last night for myself personally. I'm gonna keep mentioning this just to milk it a little bit, but I've been fucking through the ringer last 24 hours, honestly. Tummy bug, throwing up, fucking yeah. I've not eaten anything. I've had like what they called, is it Lunchables? I had 1 Lunchable and 1 piece of toast, and it's settling. It's all right at the moment, so it's going so far. And then a Capri Sun, because my throat's fucking in agony. If I don't give a shit anyway. which I don't expect him to, but worth a try anyway. Right, Thomas Frank then. According to Mike McGrath, United are taking a look at Thomas Frank as a potential replacement for Erik ten Hag in the summer. Not the shiny manager people want. He's a decent coach. I think he would struggle probably to get Man United fans on the side of this to say, like, yeah, he's the guy to take us forward into this Ineos era. Don't get me wrong, done a fantastic job with Brentford, squeezed every drop he possibly could out of that squad. Done well to kind of make him a stalwart in the kind of the Premier League, beating some of the giants. And I think he's. You look at his team, very organised. You know, they play with a back five. The wing backs push on, set piece. The dead lead, like one of the best teams in the league at set pieces. You know, and they've produced some good players as well. Does that mean he's ready for the United job? No, I don't think he does. I think it's hard to command respect also as well when you haven't really won anything in the game. And I've had the same opinion with Graham Potter as well. You bring Graham Potter in, it's the guys coming in and saying, I've won a Swedish Cup. Players like Marcus Rashford, whether it's right or wrong, are going to turn around and say, mate, how are you going to command respect? You know what I mean? Not like they used to be. I'm not sure if you're in a reference to Brentford there. No, when they first came up, and then the second season after that, you know, when they finished in was it like 9th or 10th, I think it was, like really punching above the weight. Obviously, this season, they fell off a little bit. They've survived relegation, but I think if Ivan Toney leaves, and I know Ivan Toney hasn't even scored, to be fair, in like the last fucking 10, 11 games or whatever it was. But if he goes as well, they're going to really, really struggle. The 16th at the moment in the league. Yeah, that's not right, is it? Oh, no, that's points, yeah. 16th in the league on 39 points. So, yeah, there was like, you know, a good 10 points ahead of it. But even still, when you're near the bottom, you lose a couple of players. It's risky. So I wouldn't personally take him. I think he's a decent coach. I think he needs that kind of in-between job where, you know, he goes from Brentford to, I don't know, let's say a Brighton. Goes to Brentford, does well, goes to Brighton, pushed them into, like, contention for Europe, then goes to, like, a Villa, and then to United. And I know Aston Villa are above us in the league. I know that they're going to get Champions League, so I'm not saying in terms of that, just I'm on about in terms of stature of the club, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, Thomas Frank, what do we think? Let me know whether you're watching this live or watching this later on. I did just mention we had news coming in that Lisandro Martinez will be in the squad for tomorrow night, which is fucking amazing. We have to see about Rashford, Bruno and Cambuala. Hopefully if Cambuala's fit, we could have Cambuala and Leacher at the back because that would be much better than Casemiro and unfit Johnny Evans. Likewise with Bruno, we was missing a massive creative hole against Arsenal, and it'd be nice to see if they can... they could be a part of the squad. I'm sure Bruno will push and push and push. I'm not sure about the others, but yeah, hopefully they are available. Actually, we've not even done. That's what will be tonight. The Newcastle preview. Didn't even think about that because the games come in such... Well, we've got 2 games left, Wednesday and then Sunday, haven't we? So yeah, we'll have the Newcastle preview tonight. Make sure you come and join us. And hopefully we'll have a bit more of an update on Lisandro and Cambuala and these kind of guys. Who's winning today? City versus Spurs. I think City, but I think it'd be an uncomfortable win for him. If Bruno leaves, it'd be... sorry, I missed that comment. If Bruno leaves, it would be top 5 best moments in this club. I don't agree with that. Best United player ever, Paul Scholes, in my opinion. If Bruno leaves, it'd be the... no, I'm not reading that out again. Anyway, I shall leave it at that, people. Thank you very much for tuning in. Appreciate every single one of you. Do smash a like on the video and hit that subscribe button. And make sure you join us for the Newcastle preview live later on at 7 o'clock.